All right, we got Baba J. What's going on, my brother?
On,
you know, I think
Garvey student.
got the brothers out here. Got the
Good to see you,
7th and 8th graders here.
7th and 8th grade?
Yep.
Good to see
Brother
you,
Andre
man.
right here. A baller in all sports.
Good to see you, young man.
Carter. Brother Mari. There's Brother Sar over there.
All right now.
Then we got Brother Roland, which is another one of our advisors right here. All right.
Brother Kwesi.
All right.
Brother
I'm going to get y'all on camera. That's how we do it.
Young
We get-
drummer.
all right, cool.
Fascinating youth.
Marcus Garvey.
Cool.
Ex-Garvey. Ex-Marcus Garvey.
Oh, okay. Greetings to Baba JJ.
When I look at y'all, I see the future. And we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about generational slavery. So enjoy your snacks. We're going to get into your contribution inside of the generations that have come before you and what your contribution is going to be. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I can never do anything without my drums. Whenever I come and I talk to the youth, I always have to have my drum. This is a djembe Fola, one of the young men.
Greetings, brother.
So we're here today. Everybody calls me JJ. My name is Highway Kabasa. I'm born in Los Angeles. I've been here all my life. And we're going to talk about generational slavery. And there might be some words that you maybe don't understand. You know, we could write them down because it's a little syllabus that's going to come with it. Some words that you're going to need to understand. And I want you to, if you don't understand them, write them down or encapsulate them in your memory and don't forget them. How many years is in a generation? How many years are in a generation?
10.
How many years in a generation?
100.
How many years in a generation?
20.
Thank you. Every 20 years you get a new generation. So put that down and write that in your system, a generation. So the definition of a generation is every 20 years you get a new set of young people. You get a new generation every 20 years. Good answer, young man. What is systemic? You know what systemic means? Systemic racism. Systemic is like, go ahead, young man. No, systemic is like when you have, like, say, at your house, for example, if you have like termites, and termites are in every part of the house. They're eating the house up from the inside out. You have a systemic. Systemic means that the whole of the house is corrupted by the termites. They're eating up everything. So systemic racism is when all parts of the system is systemically racist. In business, sports, entertainment, law, all of the different facets of American life, racism is a part of it and makes it difficult. Now, how long have we been in America? How long have we been here? When did the good ship come in and show up and drop Africans off at Jamestown? You close. I'll take that answer. 1619 is good enough. What, 1620? You in there. So from 1619 to 2019, how many years is that? 400 years. Very good. And how many generations is that inside of the 400 generations?
20.
20. Very good. 20 times 20 is 400. Keep your heads up. So, if it's 20 generations that we've been here, what generation are y'all?
Generation Alpha?
No, what number generation are you? Yes, you're the 20th generation. Good answer, young man. That means that y'all the newest generation that we have.
Yay.
So, let me give you a little generational history so you'll understand. From 1619 to 1865. How many years is that?
247.
Is that what your answer came up with? Yes. Well, it's close. We'll just round it off and say 250 years. How many generations are in 250 years? 250 years, how many generations is that? And it's 20 years per generation.
8.
And it's 250 years that we're talking about.
12.
Very good. I'll take that. So, you arrived here in 1619. And you worked from 1619 until 1865 for free. From can't see in the morning to can't see at night. You understand what I'm saying? You work like a animal from can't see in the morning. That's the first 12 generations of y'all's ancestors that came here. And how many generations did we say it was?
20.
Very good, 20 generations. So the first 12, they work for free. That's your folks I'm talking about. They work for free. And those 12 generations, we don't even know their names. We don't even know their name. So it's 20 generations, right? And 250 years of free labor. The first 12 generations that came here worked for nothing. And that did what? That built the country. Because you hear all of the people saying now how black people built this country, and it's true. They built the White House, and they built everything else that they could in this country because you were not considered human beings.
The White House. Slaves owned by White House architect James Hobbin were used to build the White House. The work began in 1792 and took 8 years to finish. And after the completion of the White House, presidents continued to use slaves to maintain the household, and 7 presidents even brought their own slaves, including Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, Andrew Jackson, and Zachary Taylor. The U.S. Capitol took more than 30 years to build, from 1793 to 1826. Many slaves were actually on the task force. There are records of 385 payments being made to owners of African American slaves. Harvard Law School was built in 1817. It was funded by Isaac Royal Jr., a slave owner. A lot of his wealth came from African slaves working on sugar plantations and farms. Harvard Law School had to admit in 2017 that slave labor was used to build the institution. In 1838, Jesuit priests, who were the founders of Georgetown University, sold 272 slaves and used the money, which is today worth about $3.3 million, to pay off debts and build its campus. To offset the damage, in 2016, the university provided preferential administration to the descendants of slaves who had been sold.
That was part of the whole enslavement deal, that your ancestors were not considered to be human beings. They were signed off with the cattle. They wasn't looked at as human, as you are right now. And they worked us for 12 generations for nothing, for free. That's why this is one of the wealthiest countries in the world right now. Because of those first 12 generations that came here from 1619 to 1865. So what happened in 1865? January 1st, 1865, what happened? That should be an important date in your head. Slavery ended. You had President Lincoln, Emancipation Proclamation. That took effect January 1st, 1865. And along with that came 3 new amendments to the Constitution. Because when you free black people, when you free your ancestors, the ones that worked for nothing for you, something for you to be here and look so good and well not. That's because of love that was put in for you to be here to look like that. And if your parents didn't sacrifice, you wouldn't be in this very highly elevated school of consciousness. That's why we have to know these things. So what was the 3 amendments that was added to the Constitution when they freed your ancestors? The 13th, the 14th, and the 15th Amendment. 13th Amendment, the 14th Amendment, and the 15th Amendment. And that's very important, because we're going to get into some important reasons why they gave you the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. And I'm going to tie everything in a minute. Don't just get waylaid. The 13th Amendment was the end of slavery. That was the 13th Amendment. The 14th Amendment was equal rights and justice under the law. That was the 14th Amendment. So that now that you're free, you would get equal protection under the law. The 15th Amendment, the right to vote. Those are the 3 things that was added once you became free after 250 years of hardcore labor. Enslavement. So now you have the right, no more slavery, equal justice under the law, and the right to vote. January 1st, 1865. But on December the 24th of 1865, which is very important, the Ku Klux Klan was created. Well, how many people know what the Ku Klux Klan is? All hands go up. They was founded in Pulaski, Tennessee in 1865, December the 24th. You have a question?
Yup.
You feel good about the information you get?
Yup.
So, when I see you, I see the future. I already told you, y'all is the newest Africans on the line that's been liberated. Y'all the 20th generation. And I feel this generation here that I'm looking at is the smartest, the strongest, and perhaps the wisest generation that we have. Yes, young man.
What is liberation?
Liberation means to be free. When you are enslaved, you are enslaved. You can't do nothing. But when you are liberated, that's the root word is liberation, which is freedom. Okay? And I like that. That's very good that you asked that. So, you being the 20th generation, you inherited everything from the generations before you, the good and the bad. Okay, so all of the athletes in the room that want to be athletes, put your hands up. All those ones that say they want to be athletes. Okay. And we have one engineer, one artist, and one technician. Okay, so sports is very powerful, but there are a lot of things that you will have to go through in order to get to that very small percentage of, brothers that get to play that game. That's a very small percentage.
Hold on, I like another way. And that's that there were 1 million black boys last year that wanted to play in the NBA. Of that million, only 400,000 will even make it to play high school ball. Of that 400,000, only 4,000 will be able to make it to play college ball. Of that 4,000, only 35 will make it to the NBA. Of that 35, only 7 start. And the average life in the NBA is 4 years. So the real problem is we have 1 million brothers looking for 7 full-time jobs the last 4 years. And yet last year we had 100,000 jobs available to be a computer programmer, engineer, or doctor, and only 1,000 brothers qualified. So our appeal to black males is to realize the odds. That you do most will be that you do best. I mean, we were the first doctor, not Hippocrates, Imhotep. So we have the ability either in math or science or music and sports. For that you do most will be that you do best. If you play basketball from 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock, you'll be a very good basketball player. If you went home and went to the library, you'd be a very good scholar. We need more black male role models that will encourage our youth in math and science.
Ishmael.
What we need, and the important thing is that you think about the fact that knowledge is power, and the computer that was in front of you, that was invented by a black man, the computer. That's an African invention. The electric car, that's an African invention. The cell phone, that's an African invention. The airplane, that's an African invention.
My mom told me that a lot of people think that Elon Musk created the Tesla or created the first electric car, but he didn't.
He did not. So I'm saying that I like the athletic aspirations because, man, I look at basketball all the time and I love Anthony Edwards. Ant-Man is a beast. I love that. I love that. But that is a rarity. That's a small percentage of that's a very elite percent that gets to be able to do that. And your skill level has to be super high. But if you think about the needs of your community, then an engineer builds things. A lawyer can affect the laws. You dig? Artists, they can make change. Art is powerful. Because when you use art as a weapon, you can get information to the masses through art. Art touches us in a lot of different ways. We are melanated people. And the melanin in us is activated by light and sound. Your ancestors were the masters of mathematics. That's why can't nobody build a pyramid. Because they don't know the mastery of mathematics and engineering. There are feats that your ancestors left you here that no one has been able to replicate. Basketball, I love it. Football, I love it. But There are contributions that you can give us, and you'll probably change as you get older on what your perception is of what you really want to be. So some of the young men that answer, they don't know yet, that's a good answer, because you're going to grow into something very wonderful. But just know that you are the 20th generation. So somebody tell me something about the importance of Marcus Garvey, the school you go to. What did Marcus Garvey do? Somebody talk to me.
Teach us Black history.
Marcus Garvey? What did Marcus Garvey do? What was his job?
Oh.
What was Marcus Garvey's job? Can anybody tell me?
He wanted like black people like to have their own stores and their own stuff away from other cultures.
Yeah, black enterprise, black nationalism, of course. Marcus Garvey had the UNIA, the United Negro Improvement Association, in over 100 countries. He was a nationalist. He was a leader in a time when they was lynching black men from poplar trees. And he was talking about black nationalism, very important and a good point. So the school you go to was named after, that you go to was named after a guy. I mean, Marcus Garvey was so prominent as an international African leader here in America, even though he's from Jamaica. Go ahead, you have something to say?
I'm pretty sure he wanted black people to go to Africa and
The-
like shield themselves from like other races.
Very good. That's the school you go to. You're in a school that really promotes and accents the excellence in African American students. So I expect you to really know that knowledge is power. And you got to put your work in. 12 generations, 250 years of free labor. And I told you, with the birth of the Klan in the same year, we had 100 years of the Klan. And right now, there are Klan people that are running for office right now somewhere in this land. In the South down there, you have people that are associated with the Klan that are running for office. So 100 years of terrorism, lynching, bombing. So that's 4 more generations. So 250 years of free labor, 100 years of terrorism, that's 16 generations. Oh, how many generations left now? If we have 20, it's 4 generations left. That's it. So if you had the first 250 years of straight, all your folks had to work for free, and they separated the families, which is called chattel slavery. Another word I want y'all to write down in your syllabus. Chattel slavery, which means that your daddy is sold over here, your mama is sold over here, and y'all go in a different direction. Imagine that. Imagine right now that you could not be with your parents, that they were enslaved working for some enslaver on a plantation, and your daddy gone, been sold off. $2,000 was the average price that they was asking for 200 years ago when they were selling your ancestors. $2,000 is a lot of money right now. Can you imagine what $2,000 was 200 years ago? Because you were looked at not as human, but as property. Less than human. And that's why they can do some of the vicious things they've done to us, because they based it out of the religious aspect of the Roman Catholic Church, which is the people that sanctioned slavery and gave birth to our enslavement. Now that's a lot, and I want you to just think about that for a second. Somebody had to okay the practice of enslaving your ancestors. Because every European country went to Africa and took your folks with them somewhere. What does colonization mean, young man? To colonize. Anybody know what colonization means?
It's like to take other countries and Make them as your colony to work for you and stuff.
Very good, young man. You sure? What's your name again?
Patrick Hopkins.
Come on, Patrick. Patrick's on the money. Colonization is when somebody comes to your country and put you to work for them. They colonize your country. We speak in English. That's because the English colonized them and enslaved us. You have the French, and the French, there's 52 African nations. The French, 29 of those 52 African nations are French speaking. So that means that there's more Africans that speak French than they do in France. There's more Africans that speak English than speak English in England. Because of colonization, of going into somebody else's house and putting your rules on them. India, colonized by the British. So here in America, you had the British on one side, the eastern seaboard, yes?
And France.
You had the French in the middle, and you had the Spanish on the west coast. The Spanish was fighting with Mexico, trying to steal their gold and their land. The French had the whole middle of the country, from New Orleans all the way up to France. But the French was fighting a war with Haiti. Do anybody know about the Haitian Revolution? You ever heard about the Haitian Revolution? You ever heard about Toussaint L'Ouverture, Dessalines, and Boukman? Haitian revolutionaries that fought against the French best army. 50,000 crack French soldiers. 1799 to about 1804, you had the Haitian Revolution. That is France trying to colonize some more folks in Haiti. But they lost. And this was the first time a white power had lost in the Western Hemisphere to a black military. And that black military was the Haitian Toussaint L'Ouverture, Boukman, and them brothers. So what happened was France had to sell all of its land in America. And that was called the Louisiana Purchase. The Louisiana Purchase, France got $20 million for about 21 states that it owned before they lost. Napoleon lost his battle. Yes. Patrick.
Against Haiti?
Pardon me?
Against Haiti?
Against Haiti. That was the first time a white country had lost to any black country. And that was the Haitian Revolution. Why is that important? Because the French had to sell land and they sold it to the United States. I said France was in the middle, the Spanish was on the west coast, and the English was on the east coast, fighting with the Dutch for New York and all of the eastern seaboard. They was fighting for somebody else's land to start colonization. Colonize these red people in this land here and bring in some African folks to build our empire. So you being the 20th generation, you have to know how you got here. How did y'all end up right here at Marcus Garvey School? You have to know that journey. And that's what's important about having this dialogue that I'm having with you. How did you end up here? And if your contribution is going to be through sports, okay, I'll have that, but there's other ways that you're going to contribute to your village here in Los Angeles. There are different things that you will do in your maturation process of becoming young men that you will grow into a different responsibility, being the newest generation of us here. We don't know our language. And if you don't do a DNA test, you don't know which part of Africa you come from. There's 300 slave castles up and down the west coast of Africa and all around Africa. Yes.
One of them is in Ghana.
Is it where?
In Ghana.
Ghana has several slave castles. Several. The biggest slave castle is in Kenya, and it's called Fort Jesus. And you can look it up. They turned it into a museum. Took over 1 million black people from Fort Jesus in Kenya. So you have to know, we speak in a colonized language. We don't know what our indigenous language is.